Okay, I wanted to add quite a few details that I had forgot to mention in the first video. Okay, main thing, or one thing, is that this cyclone is basically new. It's never been used. Filters are, never had dust go through them. The motor's just been run a few minutes altogether. Okay, you might have noticed in the first video that the finish on the white parts is not very good. That's because I used this thick fiberglass mat that's kind of irregular and well, it just ended up in lots of irregularities and pock holes and so forth. So not going to win any beauty contests. The motor, I wanted to say, it's, as I said before, it's 20.8 full load amps for 5 horsepower, which means it's quite an efficient motor. I have a 5 horsepower bell door on my air compressor, and that uses 25 amps, so that's a lot of extra power that's not being converted to heat, which is a good thing. I want to clarify, I said that the final filters, the big cartridge filters, I said they're HEPA. They are not HEPA. The spec for HEPA is that it stops 99.97% of particles down to 0.3 microns. These filters are 99.99% of particles are stopped down to 0.5 microns. So not quite HEPA. Okay, I talked about the muffler, and I didn't mention that I tried it without the muffler, and it's really pretty darn loud without the muffler, and kind of screams, not as bad as a shop vac, but really it must have been 10-15 dB louder, so the muffler actually works very well. Also, I hadn't mentioned that the sound level meter was placed the same distance from the shop vac and the middle of the dust collector system to make it a fair comparison. Also, just subjectively, I listened to the video that I made yesterday, and it pretty much sounds like it did in the garage. I put on my headphones, or kind of a decent pair of Denons, just plugged into my laptop, and it sounded pretty much just like it did when I made the recording. Okay, there is a picture of the muffler interior, which is probably pretty confusing. It looks almost like a flat wheel with spokes. You're actually looking right down the center of the muffler, and what you're seeing is cutouts that have been covered with Kapton tape, and between the outside of the PVC pipe and the inside of the big muffler canister, it's filled with sound absorbing material. And so basically this is a straight flow through design, doesn't really restrict flow at all, but the sound just passes through the thin Kapton tape, so the muffler can work. Okay, the clean out, where is that? Oh yeah, okay, I mentioned that it was removable. You can see on the upper left there, it's a threaded fitting that goes on inside the canister filter. You just cut a piece of 1x stock and you can fit it in that slot and unscrew it to move it to the next filter if you ever need to replace it. Okay, I show a picture of a 6 to 4 inch Y. Now that is not included. This is how I was going to make the Ys. I was going to use the 6-inch Ys to come down off of the overhead ducting and then split into 4s, and I was going to use a 6-inch blast gate at the top to open both 4s, because at least most of my machines would require 2 4-inch ducting points, like a table saw above the table and below the table. So again, this is not included, but I understand it's pretty easy to make. You can kind of look at it and see. You just heat up the big pipe with a heat gun and push it in around the 4s. Okay. Oh yeah, now you might have noticed there are no 6-inch elbows for turns in the system. That's because those were like $32 each for a long radius one that's suitable for airflow, and I thought I would just use maybe 3 feet of deflex ducting with a much bigger radius and get about the same performance for less. Okay, what else I show? Let's see, some alternate vertical and horizontal layouts of the filter. And I looked at the current drawn, and vertical horizontal didn't seem to make any difference in the current, meaning there wasn't really any static pressure loss when the 8-inch flex ducting was bent over at 90 degrees. I guess, okay, here's a picture. By the way, all these still pictures are in the Image Shack album. I think that's the image hoster I used. Okay, this is a picture of with the fiberglass added on top of all the metal work, but before finishing and painting. Speaking of paint, there's 3 coats of paint on everything. I've got extra of both the white and the blue. The blue is spray. The white is brush on or whatever. I used a roller, I guess. What was I going to say? One more thing. Oh yeah, I actually, to get the constrained layer damping, I actually adhered the fiberglass mat to the metalwork with polyurethane sealant to create some damping between the 2 layers of stiff materials, the fiberglass and the metal. I think there was one more thing. Oh yeah, inside, okay, right at this point where all the chips hit the inside of the cyclone body, there's a very thick layer of polyurethane adhesive that's been applied per the instructions for the Pen Cyclone kit. So the whole thing should be very durable. The kit was a laser cut sheet metal flat pack, and I soldered it together, and it's galvanized, so this thing should last I think a really long time. Okay, that's it.